don't think she's having it anymore. But he'll keep trying. He will keep trying. Okay, so the video is going to be a little shaky because I don't have my selfie stick out here. But I just decided that I would do a little tour. So I started raking the I put a couple of fences up and I started raking. Right there is my rake. The gravel from where my truck is parked back towards this way, and I need to frame this out with logs, bricks, whatever, and I think I'll be able to get it pretty level and secure, and then I want to plant behind that so that that'll be level with the neighbors. And then, so with that one, I do want to pack this down and get a log right here to kind of secure it and have that be a pathway. And then I want to put my grill, once this has been leveled out a little, I might make like a little patio, maybe like right here. I'm not sure on the patio, but I want to put my grill somewhere over here. I think this can be a garden bed, and then over the drain can be like a patio. That was a really good idea from Henry at Henry's Landscaping. They helped me when I had that tree knocked down. They helped me get all of this wood put into my compost piles, and it was a huge job. They did wonderful work. So that compost pile is breaking down now. And then this back area is mostly wildlife. So I've whacked that far back, and then I have a compost pile here and a cutting of a curly willow right there. A bunch of buttercups coming up, and then I'm thinking of building a gravel patio and putting my storage shed on it. So then I'll have, stepping on tons of tarp. So I'll have some plantings back there, a little patio, a little gravel leveling here with a patio that's level, my grill, and then a garden bed on this corner. And then I'll take that shed, which is I think a 4x6, and just have that be mowed or something, and then build a patio and put the shed on top of it right there. And then here will just be grass and a willow tree that will be pretty big, probably right around there. And behind it, I want to do probably just a dirt trail, dirt and grass, and then have like a little garden bed area here. I might actually clear that and see if I let the grass grow, but right now it's a good compost pile, and those break down and make it a whole lot easier to plant in. So with the tree there, I might do a dogwood a little bit higher up. I'm not sure. The willow likes to be wet. So it's on a lower area. You can see all these buttercups. So with all these buttercups here, and then this is the walkway. It's, I don't know, a couple inches tall. But the buttercups really like a wet area, but it's doing its job. So I mostly just whack invasives. The buttercups can be invasive and not good for livestock, just so you know. However, I can leave them for a little while, and then right before they go to seed, I can whack them down so they don't spread. But they do a good job in low-lying areas that get a little bit soggy. And there's a bee. And that bee right there is part of why I do it. So I can leave the flowers. They have plenty of pollen. My neighbor has a dogwood here. So I'm thinking with this tree getting about 40 feet tall, it's going to match that one and just fill this area. And then I'm thinking maybe just some lower plantings around here and a dirt grassy trail there. I can kind of clean that up and make that a little bit more nice. And then move all of the sticks that are under this and start planting some lamium and vinca and stuff like that. But it still has quite a bit of breaking down. I put this on this year, not that long ago. And this is going to be lawn, most likely, possibly with some garden beds. But the one that Freya's standing over, I had uncomposted horse manure and tons of sticks, just like the one that I'm talking about. And this one over here, I grew plants in even when it was uncomposted, but now this year it's very soft soil. So that should happen with this one. I need to let it break down a little bit and then get some of the bigger sticks out. I accidentally whacked the cutting from the willow. It's right here. I whacked it down pretty good, but I think it'll still root. I just took a big branch from there and stuck it in the ground. So I'm going to have a willow here, a willow there, some plantings and a trail on either side. And this back area is wildlife because that's too much to tackle right now. But I do have a garden hole started here. And I have some thistles and a beautiful foxglove. And I did throw handfuls of wildflower seeds in there. And then we do also have some really nice ferns that are not the invasive kind. So I have, let me zoom out. So I have a circle of ferns and then a hole that I put a whole bunch of seeds in, and apparently I'm going to get a lot more. Right along the pathway, the grass pathway, and then the potential lawn. So basically all the edges are being worked. One of my biggest accomplishments lately is me and my mom weed whacked the entire walkway and the lawn. And I rolled that big heavy log right here to frame in a little garden bed to kind of extend this one. But I want this one to be flowers and things I really like. That one is a willow tree. I think it's a pussy willow. And native blackberries and salal. It's mostly native. I do have a honeysuckle there, and in the front I have plants ornamentals. And then there's a pathway that goes in between, and then all this back there is shit I'm not dealing with. But I did move that huge log from next to this one and instead replaced it with a couple pallets. Someone's having a good time out there with their motorcycle or quad or something. I love that shit. Yeah, so I worked on the other side last spring, summer, and fall. Mostly fall. Actually, in 2023 when we moved in, it's 2025. Holy shit. So I worked on it a year and a half ago, that side. So let's go take a look. One of my neighbors on Facebook gave me those two trees, and I'm thinking of putting them one right there and one right here to create a little pathway. And then here is a mostly planted garden bed in front of the wildlife area. And I do have things coming up. I have, what is that? Feverfew, mouse ear hosta, and some seeds. And then I planted this fern, and it loves that spot so much. And a whole bunch of poppies are coming up right in here. I do also have a columbine back there, and I just shoved it in here under I think that's a columbine. I just shoved under the log and scratched up the dirt a little. Columbine and some other bulb type plant in those two spots. So that is a little wildlife area. Got a compost pile up. And now I'm at the back fence looking the other direction. So I have that trail comes up and over here and meets at the two T-posts on the other side. This is the wildlife habitat area. It's not too huge, but it really has been making a difference. I have tons of birds. This is my compost area, but I mostly compost in place. So yeah, I mostly compost in place. Like for that one, that garden bed, let's go look at it. So I would have a trail coming through here, through those two, up and around the shed, a little patio, barbecue grill, another walkway, mostly lawn, I think. And then another walkway up to the front. And on this side of the walkway, actually the lighting's perfect to do this side now. We have, so that's where we just were at the compost bin. And there's a fire pit. So I have the fire pit out there. The birch tree has like doubled in size last year, and I have some plants in this fence protected from the deer. It's been working. And then a little bench, yeah, and a path. You can go to the right or you can go to the left over the little bridge where there's a dry riverbed and another wildlife. The vernal pool is back there, curly willow, and then I have, this is a wildlife habitat. I got a couple of bird nests in there, but this one and this one are garden beds. That is a garden bed. That's a garden bed. And then they basically just have trenches that I filled with sticks and mulch to allow to soak up the moisture. So that's part of the permaculture. And it really has done wonders. But I mostly composted in place. I had pine needles, clay soil I just dug out from the trench and put it on the bed, and then threw tons of seeds out. Here, this is just a random hole. I had to dig out a lot of this gravel from this hole, and there was literally no soil. So I started composting in place there. I put clippings, leaves, branches, and this magnolia tree. I've had that for like 4 years now. I don't know. I got it when I think I got it when we moved into our first apartment. And these were all the flowers. I did have a bunch of flowers. But in here is just grass clippings, an oregano plant, weeds, and a feverfew. And then on this side we have weeds and delphiniums. This one has, I just planted a grass here, a valerian, or yarrow, valerian, and a bunch of mint on that side. And I put all of my lavenders here with some sawdust. But yeah, I have so many things coming up over here. And this last year was a hornet's nest right here, and then sticks and leaves and uncomposted horse manure. And now I do have some sticks, but I have all that loamy, fluffy soil and a whole bunch of seeds I planted. There is a stinky bob plant, but there are yarrow back there, and all these little seedlings are vegetable plants that I put in. I want this to be like a keyhole garden, so I want the garden bed to kind of extend here. Maybe put a tree right here. This is kind of a hole, so I'd have to fill it up a little bit and put a tree, or I don't know, something. because then the path, you just can walk in and access the inner side of the beds, but you don't walk all the way through. And instead, to get, oh, we did this side. It looks gorgeous. All of my flowers are coming through, especially along the fence line. I got daisies, dandelions, buttercup, foxglove, and then I just planted a whole bunch of sunflowers. Those are almost ready to come up. But here we have this main pathway. I dug that like literally in November or December. I don't know. The walkway goes right here and then up and over the little bridge and then to the fire pit around the garden bed. And to the left, we have a wildflower bed. I just put a bunch more seeds in there. This bed, I just put squash and vining plants just to really create a lot of biomass. And then right here, I know for sure there's a bird's nest in here because when we were cleaning it up, she kept flying out of her nest. So I only whacked kind of high. But yeah, so it's coming together just lovely. I'm really, really impressed at the work and how it comes together. And then I put a little fence up on that side too and in the front yard, so it really makes it easier to take care of the dogs. Another lupine, fire pit area, and then all the different trails. But yeah, my neighbor who gave me the two arborvitae, she also gave me that dogwood, and then one of my clients gave me the chocolate vine, the nasturtiums, another dogwood. And then over here I have this beautiful hosta coming up and a lot of trees. So some of these are weeds, but some are trees. But when we moved in, there was no life in here, and I've really been working this section. And now I have tons of roots in the ground. So it's going to be really, really full of dragonflies. Yeah, I'm already getting tons of dragonflies. So I have a hosta here that'll be really great on the edge of a vernal pool, and then another one there. I have two like ornamental grasses and then a bunch of weeds. And then I also have my white valerian. And this one is blooming, but the other one the deer got to. So this, at least it didn't fall with the camera facing up because I stood right over it. So there's a valerian root over there. And I got that for my birthday a couple of years ago. I drove out to Puyallup with my kid and got that from a lady off of Facebook, I think it was, or Craigslist. But yeah, that one out there was eaten by the deer, but this is what it looks like if it can bloom. So that's really good news. What I tripped on was this little extended dip here. But that goes to show that the deterrents are working for this area, because that area is like all the stuff the deer eat. So I've mostly been, there's my shadow. Embrace your shadow, people. So the deterrents have been working, and basically they don't find enough back here that they like, that's exotic, and so they go away. Now just over the wildlife area and this trail, there's another patch of berries and then a ton of weeds. There's a thistle, songbirds love thistle, and then right in there is a bay laurel. Before I end this video, I want to go look at the bay laurel real quick. Yeah, so this is what composting in place looks like. I literally dumped like my onion seeds, my old milk, whatever, just kitchen waste right at the base of that tree. Now, I can tell it's already looking better. Already, it's amazing. But essentially, all of that brings the microbes and the sugars that bring from over here where it's really fertile, they attract the ants and the fungi and everything that help the roots, and the plant itself is not making its own sugars right now because it's sick. And so it's not sending out the sugars that it needs to bring the microbes and the fungi that will support it and make it a big, beautiful tree like this one. However, if we provide some of the sugars and some of the stuff, it will come back and grow roots. Now, it was over there, and the reason I put my compost pile there is because that is a very unfertile spot. This tree almost died. It's not dead, but it looks pretty sick. But the discoloration has stopped since I started taking care of it over here. And then my client, I believe it was, gave me this. I'm not sure what plant that is. We'll see. Okay, so the one thing I want to look at. Ooh, I just got pricked. Oh my gosh, I got so much growth now. So the reason I'm letting that be weeds is because when I planted it, it had all those leaves, and a deer came and literally pushed the fencing away and ate all the leaves, ate it down to stumps. So it's kind of a deterrent to just let it be overgrown right here, because the deer don't really want to work that hard for it when they can go somewhere else. And then this foxglove is like at least 4 feet, maybe 5. Well, the fence is 6 and it's almost to it. From this angle, it looks like it's taller, but it's not. So hopefully that tour was informative, and that permaculture totally works and it's totally accessible. My next step is to take that hay and fill all of my pots. I'm going to probably fill all my pots like halfway, and then do some composting in each pot for a couple of weeks, and then add more hay, and then I'll put some plants in there. I'm not sure 100%, but yeah. And so that's the path to the front. Yes, I love it. It's turning out really, really good. One of my clients said, and it's 22, 27, he has dementia, but he did say, don't give up on your dreams when I was telling him about my yard. He said it will happen. So I take that as a good omen.